Hey everyone, welcome to the Breakthrough Entrepreneurs Show, where we empower entrepreneurs to overcome the challenge of work life balance, burnout, break bad, old, unhealthy, negative habits, behaviors, build new habits, create new rituals, new routines. I'm your host, Muhammad Faraj, and today our topic is very powerful. Protect your mind from unhealthy Hey everyone, welcome to the Breakthrough Entrepreneurs Show, where we empower entrepreneurs to overcome the challenge of work life balance, burnout, break bad, old, unhealthy, negative habits, behaviors, build new habits, create new rituals, new routines. I'm your host, Muhammad Faraj, and today our topic is very powerful. It's called Protect Your Mind from Unhealthy Content. You see, one of the things that I learned from my own personal experience, and after making this mistake many times before, but there was a big lesson that I learned from this mistake, and which is to protect our mental health, our body, our goals, our dreams, our well-being, our health from unhealthy content. There are so much crap nowadays online. There are so many unhealthy, negative, bad, unhealthy content online nowadays. I mean, on internet, on social media, there are so many people, unfortunately, they're uploading terrible content, like very bad content, bad for our health, for our well-being, for our happiness, for our fulfillment, for our family, for our kids. So many people, you see, they are putting and uploading so many bad content just to get views, just to get likes, just to get comments, just to make money, just to make themselves popular or famous in a negative way. There are so many people, they're putting so much crap online just to put so much poison in people's brains, just to attract other people's attention. They want people to crave, to consume their unhealthy, negative, bad content so they can build a wealth in a negative way, in a bad way, in a terrible way. So, this topic is very powerful, and this is one of my most powerful episodes that I am going to talk about, and it's super important that I highly recommend that as parent entrepreneurs or solopreneurs that your kids don't listen to this episode because it can contain things that are not very healthy, or that things that are for grown up but not for kids. So recently I was scrolling on Instagram, and I usually try to learn from other entrepreneurs, from other successful people. I usually watch interviews, I usually watch other people's content just for the sake of learning and developing new skills and learning from other people's mistakes, failures, from their backgrounds, from their entrepreneurship journey, and just to get benefits, to learn from others. But unfortunately, I came across a profile on Instagram, and there was a French woman. Unfortunately, she acts like she is an entrepreneur or a business owner, and she was teaching other people about relationships. She had uploaded a reel on her Instagram profile, but when I visited her profile on Instagram, oh my god, it was terrible. I wish I didn't do that, because the content that she had uploaded on her Instagram profile, it was terrible. It was very unhealthy. It was very bad. She had put so many short videos or reels showing her body, and moving her ass. And her content was very sexual, it was very unhealthy, very bad. I did not like her profile. I did not like the type of content that she's using, that she's uploading. And unfortunately, she had so many likes, she had so many views, she had so many comments because she's putting poison in other people's brains. She's wasting other people's time. She's wasting other people's energy. She's impacting other people's health, well being, their lives. So, this profile reminded me that it's super important as entrepreneurs, especially parentpreneurs, or whether you're solopreneurs. It's super important that we protect our mind, our mental health from unhealthy, negative, bad content. Even our kids, we need to protect our kids' health from this type of crap, this type of content, because unfortunately, nowadays, so many kids who are over 18 years old or they're teenagers, they have their mobile phones, they have so many devices, and they have access to internet and online. So it's possible that they could consume unhealthy, negative, bad content. It's possible that they can do it without their awareness because they don't realize how dangerous, how impactful this unhealthy, negative content for their health, for their well being, for their happiness, for their relationships. Because there are so much crap nowadays online, and most people do it because they want to build wealth in a negative, bad, terrible way. They want to make money out of other people's health. They want to impact other people. They want people to crave their content so they can achieve their goals, so they can become successful in their businesses, in their unhealthy, terrible, negative businesses. So I used to watch this type of content before and I made a big mistake. I made like very, very big mistake, and I felt like I was so stupid. But that mistake taught me a lot because, you know, internet is like ocean nowadays. There are so many resources, there are so many content, and there are good, healthy, positive content, and there are the opposite way. There are very negative, bad, unhealthy content as well. But it's super important that we become aware of what type of content that we are consuming as parent entrepreneurs or solopreneurs, or our kids, our families. It's super important that we protect our health, our well-being, our focus, our productivity. It's super important that we protect our goals, our dreams, our future, our vision of our future from crap, from unhealthy, negative, bad content. Because unfortunately, the side effect of consuming bad, unhealthy, negative, terrible content is that so many people, they will drift from their direction, from their path, from their vision, from their goals, from their dreams. Suddenly they will feel stuck. They will feel like they are stuck in a negative, unhealthy, bad loop where they are consuming constantly and craving negative, unhealthy, bad content, but they are not working toward their goals. They forget their goals. They ignore the people that they want to serve. Suddenly, they are distracted by unhealthy, negative, bad content. Suddenly, they procrastinate. Every time they want to work, every time they want to do the hard work, every time they want to follow along with their goals and be aligned with their ambitions, suddenly they find themselves they're stuck in addiction, in terrible bad habits where they are getting procrastinated and distracted by unhealthy, negative, bad content, because that bad content will rewire your brain with like negative things like unhealthy, bad content, porn, or sexual stuff. So this had this happened with me. Before I set goals, I know I was supposed to be working and following along with my goals, with my dreams, but because of my addiction, because of my unhealthy, negative, bad habits, because of my old version, I would suddenly find myself, instead of working, instead of being fully productive, instead of being laser focused, instead of working on my to-do list, working on my business, on my goals, on my dreams, I would find myself suddenly I left my workplace, I'm consuming unhealthy, negative, bad content, and I would end up feeling miserable, terrible, very negative, very unhealthy about my life. I've made this mistake many times before, but life teaches you when you make big mistakes, when you find yourself a year later or years later that you're not what you meant to be, that you're not doing what you're supposed to be, that you didn't follow along with those dreams, you didn't commit to that vision. You find yourself you are totally somewhere else. You find yourself you're stuck, you feel stagnation, you feel terrible, negative, disappointed about your behaviors, about your habits, about your daily life. So I made a big mistake before, but after reading, after listening, after learning from other people, from online, I learned a lot. And I became aware of this mistake, and thank God I found my path. I found my values, my core values. Thank God, thanks to God, I was able to break that addiction of consuming unhealthy, negative, bad content. I was able to remove things, unhealthy things, from my devices, from my environment, so I don't get exposed to them, so I don't go back to them, so I don't fall back into those old negative bad habits. So after building a new version of myself and breaking and removing that old version of myself, I started to live a very happy, healthy, and fulfilled life. I started to help people, serve people. I started to feel so happy, so excited, making progress daily, building good habits constantly, and continuously improving. But when negative bad habits, like for example consuming negative bad unhealthy content, when they suddenly get on your way, they keep you stuck. They prevent you from living the life that you meant to live. They keep you stuck. They avoid you. They prevent you from being the person that you meant to be. So that's why I really highly emphasize how important it is to build and design a good, healthy, positive environment. And this is one of the things that I teach and I talk about in my previous episodes. It's super important to build and design a healthy, positive, good environment. And the second thing is to build an identity. You see, one of the most powerful things when it comes to habits and human behaviors and working and on your business and growing your business, your entrepreneurial life, is to build a strong and powerful identity. You see, I remember I had a friend before, like years ago, back when I used to live in Iraq, before I immigrated to Western countries, to Sweden. I remember one guy gave me one advice, and I always remember his advice. So that advice changed my life because every time I remind myself about that advice. You see, I had a friend, and he was someone who loved sport, who loved taking care of his health. He would constantly consume healthy, positive, good meals, content, and he would always work on his health. I would find him so often training, doing workout, moving his body. He loved taking care of his health. I remember one day he told me, Muhammad, my best advice for you is to be careful of the type of content that you consume online. He told me, you see, if you look at my mobile and social media, I don't look at other girls' images or pictures. I don't consume sexual stuff. I don't look at other people's bodies or their unhealthy images or their content. So he told me, I protect my health. I protect my mental health. I protect my well-being, my happiness, my clarity, my fulfillment. I protect my family. I protect my days from unhealthy, negative, and bad content. So he said, I don't watch, I don't look at other girls' images, which some of those girls, they put like unhealthy images where most of their bodies is exposed. So that advice kept stuck in my mind. I'm talking about, like, I think it was 15 or 20 years ago I received this advice from a friend. Do you see how powerful it is? He told me, I am someone who doesn't consume unhealthy, negative, bad content. I love my health. I love myself. I love taking care of my health. So many people, they take care of their cars. So many people, they take care of their businesses. But so many people, they don't take care of their health as much as they take care other things in life. So it's super important as parentpreneurs or solopreneurs and as families, it's super important that we build a strong and powerful identity. You remind yourself, you tell yourself, I am someone who loves taking care of his or her health. I love taking care of my health. I love protecting my mental health. I love a meaningful life. I love a purposeful life. I love following along with my goals. I love success. I love making progress. I love getting closer to my outcome, to my results. I love helping people. I love serving people. I love working hard and I embrace it. I love sport. I am someone who is crazy in love with sport. I watch sport. I do sport in my daily entrepreneurial life. I watch other people play and compete. I love buying sport equipments. I love investing on my health by doing sport. So it's all about building a strong, powerful identity. When you become identical, when you become someone with a strong, powerful identity, no addiction, no bad habits, no negative behavior can get on your way or can approach you. So you're protecting yourself from so much crap, from so many unhealthy, negative, bad content. You're protecting yourself from addiction. So many people, unfortunately, they are addicted. They are stuck in their addiction. Instead of working on their goals, on their dreams, and being fully productive, being laser focused on their goals, on their dreams, unfortunately, they end up being addicted. And when they get stuck in that addiction process, they find themselves, they're constantly procrastinating. They're constantly getting distracted. They're constantly drifting around. They don't know what direction they are following. They don't know what path they are following. They don't know their goals, their dreams, their vision of their future. They lose clarity. They become off track. They are not on track, moving forward, pushing forward, following along with their goals, being aligned with their dreams, with their ambitions. Instead, they are off track. They are doing something else. They are hiding. They are lonely. They are negative about their lives. Some of those people, they even end up with mental problems, depression, feeling bored. They don't serve, they don't help, because they find themselves, they are miserable, they are stuck in a cycle, because they became addicted to unhealthy, negative, bad content. They lost a sight of their goals, of their dreams, of what they were working on. And they waste so much time, they waste years, and they find themselves, they are somewhere else in their life. They are not following a direction, they are not following a path, they are not committed, they are not productive, they are not laser focused, they are just procrastinated and distracted. So, and breaking addiction, it takes so much amount of work, so much amount of time to break that addiction, to break those unhealthy, negative, bad habits. It will take so much willpower, so much grit, so much time, so much energy. So why would you put yourself in their shoes? Why would you put yourself in that cycle? So many negative, bad habits, behaviors, they grow in your daily entrepreneurial life because you let unhealthy, negative, bad habit or consuming that unhealthy content determines your life, determines the mission of your life, your future. Instead of becoming successful, you become unsuccessful. Instead of being happy, healthy, you become unhealthy, unhabit because of that negative, bad, terrible content. So it's super important that we build an identity. We tell ourselves, we remind ourselves, we tell everyone, we tell everybody around us, I am a type of person, I don't consume unhealthy, negative, bad content. Every time I come across unhealthy, negative, bad content or a negative profile or a video, it doesn't matter, regardless which social media platform, I'll just delete it, I'll just remove it, I'll just report it. I know some of those social media platforms on health, unfortunately, even when you come across unhealthy content or a profile or any negative account, they put so many conditions, and sometimes you report, and there are so many integrity things that is involved. Sometimes it takes time to report and to remove a content, but still I will remove those content. I will build and design a healthy environment. I don't want to have any unhealthy, bad, negative content on my account, on my social media platforms. Every time I meet, I will just remove, I will just block. I blocked so many profiles, I blocked so many unhealthy, negative, terrible accounts from my social media platforms. So that's why I created clean accounts, clean platforms, because some of those people, they're even hackers. They want you to visit their account, their terrible profile, and then consume their content, and then they put a link for you and they want you to click on the link, and then they will hack your account, because terrible people are sitting behind those fake, unhealthy, negative, terrible profiles and accounts, and they want to impact you. They want to hack your account. They want to steal your data, your information. They want you to consume their content so they can become wealthy, and you become unhealthy. I say it again. Those negative, unhealthy, terrible people that they're uploading so much crap, so much unhealthy, negative, bad content, their goal is to make you unhealthy so they can become wealthy out of your health. So it's super important as parentpreneurs that we protect our kids, their mental life, their healthy life, their well-being from negative, unhealthy, bad content. You need to track, you need to protect, you need to monitor your kids' devices, because our kids, they get access to so many devices nowadays, and sometimes we don't know what type of content they're consuming, or we don't know whether they're aware of how dangerous, how terrible, how impactful those content are. Because I remember when I used to work at a Swedish private elementary school, and sometimes I used to have lessons with kids, like physical activity lessons, or even when I used to eat lunch with those students. To be honest with you, not all of them, but some of those students, they were talking about like porn stuff. They were talking about like horny and very bad sexual stuff. They were saying like words, and they were using very negative, unhealthy phrases, because I felt like those kids, those students, they were watching, they were consuming unhealthy, negative, bad content behind their parents. They were hiding their devices. They were watching when they were not at home. So they were consuming very negative content, and I was hearing very terrible phrases and words from those students. I knew those kids, they're consuming unhealthy, negative, bad content, and I'm not 100 sure if their parents are aware of that, or if they know about their kids consuming that unhealthy, bad content or not. But I was hearing very bad content from those students, and I noticed those students, they were not happy, they were not really healthy, they were not productive. They were consuming unhealthy, negative, bad content, but they weren't aware how impactful, how dangerous consuming that content is for their health, for their school, for their homeworks, for their goals, for their sport. So it's super important as parents that we protect our kids from so much crap online, that we do not let our kids learn and copy bad behavior, bad habits from other people, because some of those negative, unhealthy, bad content online, those can lead for our kids to start building unhealthy, negative, bad habits, negative behaviors. They can end up in big problems because of that content. They can end up being stuck in some type of addiction, which would impact their future, their health, which would impact even their schools. So it's super important that our responsibility as parentpreneurs, that we avoid, that we protect our health, our goals, our dreams, our families, our kids from negative, unhealthy, bad content. Because happy, healthy families, happy, healthy people, happy, healthy entrepreneurs would never let bad habits enter their families, enter their lives. They would never let addiction enter their life, their families. People who consume unhealthy, negative content online, they're unhappy, they're unsuccessful. People who are drifting around, people who consume negative, unhealthy, bad content, whether in a type of video or reel or short videos, or even listening to unhealthy sexual audio content. Those people, they are stuck in their life. They will be miserable in their lives. They will not find any happiness in their lives. They will not follow a direction. They will not follow a mission, a vision for their future. Instead of making a change in this world, instead of making a change, making a difference in their families, in their community, in this world, they would find themselves, they are constantly distracted, procrastinated, and most worse than that, they are addicted. They will become addicted to that unhealthy, negative, bad content, and they would have to figure out a way to boot themselves, to get unstuck, to cure themselves. They would have to go to therapists so they can solve their problems, their addictions. So, my best advice for you as a parentpreneur or a solopreneur or families who run businesses or entrepreneurs, my best advice for you is to become careful of the type of content that you are consuming online. There are so many good, healthy, positive content, and I myself, I consume content on social media every day. But I use social media in a way that is teaching me. So my social media accounts are like my universities. They are teaching me. I learn from other successful people. I learn from other healthy people. Even the algorithm. Whenever I click on a healthy, positive, good content, the algorithm of that particular social media platform sends positive, healthy, good, beneficial content to me. So I consume, I learn, I get advices, tips from others. I learn from other people's experiences. I read books in my mobile device. I read articles online using my computer, my laptop. And I always try to block, remove, and just avoid unhealthy, negative, bad content online, because that content is very unhealthy, very terrible, it's very bad, it's very negative, it's very impactful for our health, for our well-being, for our future. Because when I look at girls, when I look at women, I love them, I respect them. I become aware of their position in our society, in our life. I have so much respect to so many girls, so many women. I know how important they are. I know their important role in our entrepreneurial life, in entrepreneurship, in our community, in our society. So there are so many terrible people. Not everyone is the same. There are so many terrible people, whether male or females. They're uploading so many unhealthy, negative, bad crap and content online, so people can crave their content, so people can become addicted, so they can put so much poison in our brains, in our kids, our children's brains, so they can become wealthy and we become unhealthy, which we don't want that. So this is a very powerful episode that I have published so far, and I really wanted to talk about this topic because I'm aware that so many people are affected and they're very impacted by unhealthy, negative, bad content out there online. And some of those people they end up being addicted, they end up being stuck in addiction. Some of those people, they they build very negative bad habits, negative behaviors, which impacts their relationships, which impacts their schools, which impacts their goals, which impacts their families, which impacts their own health, their own happiness, their own healthy life. So that's it. That's what I got for you in this episode. I hope you learned something new today from this episode, because I know not so many people talk about this topic, but I choose to talk about this topic because I love people's health. I want to help people. I want to share so many tips, advice, so many insights, strategies from this podcast, so people can learn, so people can avoid unhealthy, negative, bad content and negative, bad habits, so they can live a happy, healthy, and fulfilled life, and so they can break through in their entrepreneurial life. Please don't forget to follow me on iTunes or Spotify. This is where I publish new episode every week. And do not forget to visit the links below in the description area. This is where you find a link for my main social media platform, my Instagram, and I have putting a free guide for you as an entrepreneur that you can start to follow, which will help you to start building good healthy habits, improve your entrepreneurial life, break old negative bad habits, and live a happy, healthy, and fulfilled entrepreneurial life. Thank you so much for listening or watching, and I can't wait to publish a new episode. Bye everyone.